Hi, I'm Patrick, and today I'm going to speak about feminism. So, when we speak about feminism, we first have to realize that there have been three major waves of protest that includes feminism. So, the first wave, the waves are terms for when the protests were really present compared to times where they were not so present. So, the first wave, it lasted from the 1830s to the 1900s. And it included women protesting for their voting rights. So in the US and Canada specifically, women did not have voting rights until the late 1900s. And women took to the streets to protest for their voting rights. They wanted to be heard, they wanted to be able to vote for candidates or against candidates in the elections, and they felt that it was a fundamental right for them. If their men could go and vote, why shouldn't they be able to vote? After this was achieved in the late 1900s, the first wave kind of lost its function. There had been a few other factors, however, mostly it was for the voting rights. White women were allowed to vote first, and a few years later, Aboriginal women and Asian women were also allowed to vote. After the first wave, the second wave erupted. The second wave was from 1960 right into the 1980s. Again, the term wave does not mean that there weren't any feminist activists in between. It just means that at this time, there were more feminist activists than in between times. It was based on the workplace. They wanted equal rights at the workplace. They wanted equal pay. They wanted to be able to go to work and not stay at home with the children. And if they wish, they were supposed to also go and get an abortion. Abortion rights was the key fundamental issue of the second wave. After the second wave achieved its goals, that women were not judged by staying at home with their children as much as before, the third wave erupted. It lasted from the 1990s until this present day. It was a reaction to the failings of the second wave. The second wave was very exclusive. It didn't let everybody in who wanted to be in it. So people who were gay, who were lesbian, who were trans, people who were men, for example, men were not allowed into the movement in a lot of parts. It tried to be more inclusive and silence the critics that had said that it's not inclusive at all. It also focused on gendered violence and on the queer theory. It also had the clarification around sex work. It tried to state very successfully that sex work doesn't have to always be negative. It focused on the principle of intersectionality for the first time. But intersectionality is the concept of everything being connected to each other and everything having its place. The third wave lasted into the present, and many feminist activists are from this age. When we speak about feminist activists like Ruth Bader Ginsburg, we think of the third wave mostly, or the second wave. However, there are speculations about a fourth wave. So from 2012 until the present day, we saw a shift in the wave. We saw a possible fourth wave, which focused more on abortion rights. So we had the second wave that focused on abortion rights. It should be legal to have abortions because so many people had abortions illegally, and now it should be legal. And it was legalized by the Supreme Court. However, now in the fourth wave, we have another abortion right offensive because of various factors. The Supreme Court had made various tries to overturn the abortion right, and in 2022 they did return it, which is not a good thing if you ask me. The fourth wave focused on abortion rights. But fourth wave also focused on the underrepresentation of women in media and in politics. You might know that in the US Senate and in the US House, there's a lot less female politicians than male politicians. So the fourth wave is not certified, it's not an official wave like the third and second and first. However, it is kind of a wave that is seen by many as legible because it has a shift in its focuses onto the media and politics, especially with social media that was only created around the 2010s and rose after the 2010s. Those are the 4 different waves of feminism, and if you have any questions, you can ask them in the comments. It's important to understand that there were these protest actions from the feminist movement and that they are in 4 waves. In the next videos, we will be trying to tell you a little bit more about different aspects of the feminist movement and about different aspects of feminism. I hope you enjoyed it and I hope you learned something.